Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are back on Dragonheir and we finally unlocked the last upgrade material to unlock Forge 4. So for those of you who don't know, Forge 4 allows you to craft legendary gear, so that means that legendary gear is finally here. There were people who were able to farm stage 9 of dungeons, but the drop rate from that is typically very low. So since the legendary gear is finally unlocked, I wanted to make a complete guide on legendary gear because it's very different from rare and epic gear, for which I also made a guide. Make sure to check that out as well. And if you are able to farm stage 7 or above of any of these dungeons, you will be able to start getting the forge material, which is going to be your the crafting material for legendary gear. If you are not able to farm stage 7, don't be discouraged. It may be you're free to play, maybe you're just started out in the season 1, you're still trying to figure out the game. That's fine. From now until I think in a week or so you will be able to do it. In 2 weeks we will start getting legendary forge material drop rate increase, which happens server wide. You can go ahead and check it over here. So as you can see, in 16 days, 17 hours, we'll get legendary forge material drop rate increased. So you will get a lot of legendary gear once this unlocks, but if you want a head start on the legendary gear, you should be able to start farming stage 7 next week if you're not able to do it now. There are a lot of free-to-play strategies. I personally would love to make them, but since the stamina is like so short and I do want to remain competitive, it's hard for me to go through every rare and epic on my account. I will make a showcase of my account later as well, but for now let's discuss the legendary gear. Before we actually begin into reviewing the legendary gear, let's just talk about the legendary gear itself, how it's different from epic gear and rare gear. So first off, they are you can level them up to upgrade them to level 20, which is 4 levels higher than epic and 8 levels higher than rare gear, so you do get more stats. The next thing to know is that they give you another kind of a bonus. So the 2-piece effect is very similar to the epic gear, but the 3-piece effect it's kind of like a passive what they have. And moreover, to know is like you don't really get any additional set bonus from having the same 4 pieces of legendary gear on a champion. So for example, if we have 4 pieces of an epic gear, we get this 2-piece effect twice. So for example, in this case, the Grey Knight Will Chest, we will get 30% defense and 30% HP if we have 4 pieces of this on a champion. Whereas with the legendary gear, you don't really get that. So the last piece is basically swappable with another set. So say for example that you're building a high HP champion and you got a much better chest piece in another set, so you can keep them and put that on and it won't break the set value. So that's how the legendary gear is a bit more flexible, because you're not getting the 4-piece effect anyways, you just get the 3-piece effect. So let's jump right into the reviewing each of these sets. So from Grave of Curse we get 2 different legendary sets. The first one is going to be the Ancestral Protection set. This is by far the weakest set of them all. It has a really cool passive, but I have no idea why they added this last line where it only takes effect once for the same team. Meaning that if you're fighting, why would they do that? Why? The other factors of it would have been a great set if they removed this line. This is a PvP and PvE level, viable set if they remove that last line. Without that, it is a great set. With that, it's a very bad set. There are so many better options. When we review other legendary gear, that you'll see that this makes it quite weak, because you really don't care about the HP defense stat that much end game in PvE, simply because you do get a lot of different options to build them. You will unlock the negative ruin soon and you will be able to get even more stats, and at level 100 most of the content becomes quite easier, except for Feywild, Feymeander, or it was Feywild in beta, but Feymeander now. In Feymeander, once you reach I think it's level 150, it was considerably hard in beta. So we'll see whether it's still that hard in season 1 or not. But yeah, this set is not viable for any of the content I see. Maybe there is something that they've added in season 1 that this will be viable, but outside of that, I don't really think so. So moving to the next set, which is going to be the Radiance of the Blue Oak Chest, you get the 2-piece effect the same as the Epic, and it's going to be throughout the board. You get Enlightenment of 30 and HP of 15%, so like I said, for the Epic gear, that this set is actually really good to have on an HP based and Enlightenment based healer. There are a lot of healers like that in the game. And the 3-piece effect is heals the hero by 20% max HP after the wearer unleashes their ultimate skill. So you get extra heals to your support unit, which sometimes you do want to be the case. Take for example like Acelia, who is a tank unit, so she's taking the damage, incoming all damage, and she's also healing your team. So she does a lot of this stuff. So this is pretty much perfect for her. You won't get that much effect for her passive because you want resistance on her. But this is still nonetheless one of a great set for having on her and on any other HP Enlightenment based healer that you will have. So now moving over to Grave of Rot. This is by far the most important PvP dungeon. Actually, before we go back, let me also tell you like how many set pieces you will need for each of these. So if you take a look at these two sets, you're able to swap out gear in this game without any consumption of gold. There are a lot of different games, gacha games, that charges you like 20,000 silver to remove a piece or 20,000 gold to remove a piece. But in this game, you can basically swap out any piece of gear for free, which is a great thing because so that allows you to only have you can have maybe this set I don't even know if you should keep. You can keep the good pieces, but yeah, I'm not planning to keep this set that much. Maybe 1 or 2 different sets, that's pretty much it. But this set you can keep up to I would say 6 good pieces is more than enough. So that will cover your 2 healers in a team. There are a lot of situations when you will need 2 healers or 2 different support units that heal your whole team, and this set is 6 to maybe even you can go 9 pieces if you're really looking for it, but yeah, that would be a bit overkill. 6 is a sweet spot for me. So if once I get 6 enough good pieces, I'm not going to be farming Grave of Curse at all. So next, let's head over to Grave of Rot. So Grave of Rot, you get 2 different sets as well. This one, actually let's talk about this one first because that one has a bit more lengthier explanation. So the Holy Hunter set, you get 2-piece effect of accuracy and resistance. I said in my previous video that I don't really see this set being that viable for an epic piece in PvE or PvP. There are a couple of exceptions to this. Say for example, even in Fave Meander, there's a boss that you want to resist. If you don't have a cleanser, you can use this set. Or if you are doing Grave of Venom, you want some resistance on your tank, you can use this set. But in general, the epic is lacking compared to the legendary. The legendary is a PvP viable set. Say for example that you have a tank and it's going to be hitting across an arc or even through its basic attack. The 3-piece allows you to stun. It has a small percentage chance, 20%, so 1/5 chance of stunning an enemy whenever they take damage from this thing. So of course the derivative damage won't trigger this effect, but even your basic attacks stunning is quite powerful. Don't get me wrong, this is not a game breaking set, but it's a good set to have on your tank in PvP. And even in clan versus clan, when this finally unlocked, yeah, this set is pretty powerful for any tank in the game. You can keep about 6 pieces of this, so 2 tanks. 2 tank strategy is also pretty viable. You can have 6 pieces of this, and I think that's more than enough. So let's move over to the other counterpart of it, which is the Brotherhood Spirit Chest. This set is really strong because not only are you getting skill haste, you're getting this 3-piece effect is after the wearer unleashes their ultimate skill, all allies obtain 15% extra attack for 10 seconds. This is really powerful simply because in most if you're making records or if you're doing Vortex, and I talked about how important Vortex is during the season. This allows you to basically rank higher because your DPS units will do much more damage. So the way you set this up is sometimes it does require a bit of manualing because you are getting that extra skill haste, so everybody's timing is a bit off. But you want to have the champion that is wearing this ultimate right before your DPS ultimates, so you gain that 15% extra attack for 10 seconds. And this set is also pretty viable for PvP, but in a different way. This set is basically used on any AoE control debuff champion who you want to go first. You either want to, or if they have like an AoE ultimate reduction, somebody like Huldork or El Cibre, Tamar, all great examples. And you want this set but in a different way. So what you want to do is you only want 2 pieces of the set. You shouldn't have 4 pieces because you're not going to get the 4-piece bonus. You want 2 pieces of this and 2 pieces of this. So when you're farming right now, keep all your epic gear for this set, and if it rolls really well on accuracy, keep them. And for this set you typically would need about, like, I think 9 pieces. 9 good pieces would be good enough for this set. You don't really need more. Yeah, 9 to 12 different pieces is more than enough, because simply you can swap out gear. But I'm thinking from a template perspective, yeah, 9 to 12 pieces is more than enough. And that is Grave of Rot. So let's move over to by far I think this one you guys are going to be farming a lot because everybody likes to see big numbers, and we have 4 different sets for this Grave of Venom. So as you can see, like, Grave of Curse had 2 different sets, Grave of Rot had 2 different sets, but Grave of Venom has 4. And each one of these sets is pretty powerful on its own and allows you to do different things. The weakest, I would say, is this one, which gives you extra skill haste. A lot of you have heard different content creators or somebody else that skill haste is really important, and I was part of that group early on when I was playing beta. That, hey, if you play any of the gacha, you want speed. The faster you go, the better it is, but not in this game. There is no, if you're playing mid tier to top tier arena, there is no DPS that is going to benefit from this, simply because either their team is going to be too tanky, or either they will have a support unit that is going to go before your champion. So you first of all want somebody who's going to debuff them or take their ultimate gauge away. Something or the other has to happen so that your DPS will ultimate, even with this set. So it's pretty weak in PvE and in PvP. This is my least used set in beta. I started using it early on, but I was like, okay, this is just pathetic. Then this is Heart of Gamma Chest. This is a great set for PvE because the 3-piece effect is really nice. Whenever the wearer deals damage, it has a 30% chance to deal. It's kind of like a derived damage. It's called true damage in this one, but yeah, it's a pretty good set to have for Vortex or any other PvE situation, especially when you have a Flora comp, right? So in Flora comp, you will have some wild units, either Tonalan or Eric, and you want this set on them. Because first of all, attack speed is better, because in that 10-second duration after Flora's ultimate is where most damage happens anyways. Next up is the Platinum Knight quality chest. This was by far my highest use set in the beta. From basically 90% of the PvE that I did, where you are required to have drive damage or where you're required to have a poison team, this is pretty good. This is also a good set for somebody like Ogok, whose healing is base of attack and enlightenment. But you would want like something like HP percentage chest piece and HP percentage gloves on him. So it's a really good set. And additionally, when the wearer ultimate skill is fully recharged, it gains 30% damage bonus. So I don't think you will be manualing a lot by when you reach mid game, but early on, just be aware of the fact that the timer on this thing, it gains 30% damage bonus the moment your ultimate is fully recharged, not when you use it. So just have to keep that thing in mind. And yeah, it is a pretty good set to form, I think, 90% of the poisoners out there and anybody who's doing derived damage. Next up, we have the Imperial Executioneress, and this one is probably the best set to have for PvP, or even for PvE, where you have like a straight up vanilla DPS unit who is just doing the damage, is not doing any derived damage or not doing any poisons or anything like that. So somebody from a Frost team is perfect for it. Somebody from Rally who's not doing derived damage, actually even Rally, say for example it's Filto, you're still better off with this set than the other set. His derived damage is only based off his basic attacks. But enough about that. Yeah, this set is pretty good for all DPS units who are just, like plain vanilla. And next up we have the Heretical Ruins. This is going to be a frustrating dungeon, not because it's hard, it's because the stats you need. So it's actually better to showcase here. I did talk about an epic gear summary as well, but I'll give you a brief overview of what you're basically looking for in this set. For a damage dealer, you want attack, crit damage, enlightenment, depending on the type of damage dealer they are. So attack, crit damage is going to be like plain vanilla. Enlightenment is going to be for somebody who's doing poisons or your derived damage dealers. At the bottom, you're going to want attack percentage or crit rate. For any derived damage dealer or a poisoner, just pick attack percentage. There is a poisoner called Durango, you will want both of them there. But just read the skills, like see how they deal damage, and that's what you would want. Rest of the stuff, you don't really care. HP, defense, you don't really care about it. The next stuff that you're going to look for in this case is going to be skill haste. This is one of the most important factors for any debuffer or any arena unit that you have, even if it's a tank. Then you're going to probably look for HP, defense, and have skill haste there. For a tank, you can be a little less stingy on this, but for somebody like who's a AoE debuffer, you want as many rolls on skill haste as possible. And another thing that you guys might not know is, like, let's assume that your debuffer has 50 skill haste and the enemy team guy also has a debuffer and it has 50 skill haste. The advantage is always on the attacker. So if you're attacking him, you will go first, but when he's attacking you, they will go first. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, but that's why you keep farming this Phoenix, just for these who can get the extra skill haste rolls. That's pretty much it. And the skill haste can be from 5 to 7 as a base, and it multiplies each time. So for the highest you can get on this would be 28 skill haste per ruin, and that's a lot. So yeah, actually not 28, it could be 35. Yeah, 4-time rolls. So 35 skill haste is a lot on a single piece. So overall you can get up to a 70, but don't get too attached to your gear. The gear in this game season over season is gonna go, so no point in keeping it. The thing that I want to talk about is somewhat of inventory management. Once you start getting a legendary gear, like for example, like I've been able to farm stage 9 for a while now, and I had a lot of resources for forging legendary equipment. I basically sold all my epic gear for for helmets and for weapons. You don't really need to keep them because they're always going to be the same flat attack on weapon and flat HP on the helmet. For chest pieces, you can keep some of them for Philosopher's Stones. This is a separate item in the game which allows you to increase the rarity of your gear. So for example, if you have rare gear, you can upgrade it to epic, and an epic you can upgrade to a legendary. So if you have some really good pieces that you are attached to, you can keep them. I probably will keep this one. So for example, like this one, I'm gonna use a Philosopher's Stone on this, and you're able to select which set you want. So for any damage set, you can convert it into one of the 4 sets that you get from Venom, and for HP defense you also get the choice. For typically, I usually sell everything that is flat HP defense or attack. I don't really need them, because the cost of leveling a legendary gear is around 500,000 gold. So once you start getting a lot of legendary gear, you become poor really fast. I, for example, like I don't think I have enough gold even. So if I go quick refine, I have only 50,000 gold left, and yeah, it's dreadful. Like you will have to wait. It's somewhat of a gatekeeping. Like so you have to be very frugal with your gear. You want to sell it right away if something is not right, if something doesn't make sense. For helmet, oh, I rolled this piece, actually, yeah, so for example, like this piece has no damage stat, I'm gonna sell it, because why will I keep it, right? I'm never gonna use it, so sell it. Don't worry too much about gear. Gear is gonna go season over season. You're not gonna keep any of the gear, no matter how good the roll is. So yeah, and same goes for my gloves. If I have this kind of pieces, I will sell it. The exception to this is the Swift Shadow gloves and its counterpart for the legendary gear. If it has accuracy, for example this one, and if it rolls accuracy, I will keep it no matter what. So for example, if I go to 12, it rolled this thing, I'm gonna sell this one. But if it has accuracy, keep it. Like I said, like if you have a debuffer for arena, you want to use 2 epic pieces and 2 legendary pieces of this set. Legendary will go on the chest piece for sure. You want the accuracy as high as possible, so this chest piece is always going to be legendary. You can swap out any of them, right, for the Swift Shadow set and its legendary counterpart. So yeah, another thing to note, the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was arena. So gearing in arena is different in beta, different in beta, and now it's much better. Any gear you have on your champion, you can easily swap. You don't need to worry about anything, because you can go into a competitive mode setting, and the gear you have here is going to be only for arena. Like for example, like my avatar over here has the, what was the set name, Executioner set, right? And if I go in outside of it, where I'm gonna using her in PvE, whatever, I'm just putting out some random gear on her. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Like the gear that you're gonna use there is going to be very different. Oh yeah, I forgot about this part. Make sure to keep plan. So for example, like this one, I have it as my DPS 1 PvE because I have it on Gambler set. This is going to be my my champion for all PvE content. So I create all of these kind of things where I keep DPS 2, DPS 3, DPS 5, and I'm going to be storing them like this. So when you're in a content where you have to switch teams or you have to switch gear, say for example in especially when Sparkle tournament, which is the alliance versus alliance in this game, unlocks, this will come in really handy. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're sorting your gear out from the start. You click on plan and have a plan going on. You can create a new one, you can delete it, you can override it. So it's very helpful, and there's no cost of swapping gear. So be very frugal with your gear so you have enough gold to level your legendary gear as well. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. Hope to see you guys next time.